it's Shannon, and today I'm going to share with you the pros and cons of living in Montana. For some quick background, I lived in Montana for about 2 years. I started in Billings and then I moved to Big Sky. I'm originally from Florida but moved to Montana from New York City actually. For the pro, one of my favorite things about Montana is the very casual dress code. A pair of jeans and a comfortable plaid shirt are pretty much all you need to wear. There are a lot of great outdoor shops in Montana, everything from Eddie Bauer to REI, and you can find a lot of treasures in the thrift shops. Everything from ski jackets to lightly used Patagonia sweaters. At the Patagonia outlet, and I found some shirts, like a walking Patagonia label over here. For the cons, I didn't end up wearing about 70% of the wardrobe I had shipped over to Montana from New York, where I was living before moving. Just be mindful if you are relocating to Montana from a larger city that you might not need all of the clothes you previously had in your closet. They certainly did have a lack of stores in Montana. Billings was the largest city in the state and it didn't have much to offer other than Dillard's and JCPenney. They did recently get a H&M a few years ago, and I know a lot of the locals were pretty excited to have a few more trendy options. We just finished the mall adventure and I don't think we'll ever go to a mall again. It was a bad experience. Sorry, Bozeman. We're going to REI. Later! If you're wondering what I'm wearing today, I've got on my ski pants, these boots from Walmart, actually they're like 20 bucks, and my ski coat. Why invest in new things when you can wear the same thing every day? That's mountain life, man. Overall, the food in Montana was just okay, in our opinion. The best food we found was in the town of Bozeman. They had a lot more diversity in terms of food. We found some great restaurants that served Brazilian food, Korean, and even Mexican. Some tasty food trucks started to pop up across the state, and Billings had a food truck tracker Facebook group where you could find out the location of each truck. There were also a lot of small coffee huts along the side of the road for grab-and-go coffee, and a lot of eclectic, slightly hipster coffee shops. Coffee spot is called Cold Brew, or no, Cold Smoke, but apparently it's pretty good. Oh yeah! The great thing about Montana is the abundance of outdoor activities. You'll start meeting a lot of adventurous, in-shape people who can introduce you to a lot of new things. For example, cross-country skiing, downhill skiing, snowshoeing, ice climbing, hiking, rock climbing, backpacking, car camping, fly fishing, and more. The con, of course, is that you'll need a lot of gear to do most of these things. Make sure to budget for this new gear and shop at the local thrift store, a garage sale, or attend a gear swap. In early November, a lot of towns in Montana host ski swaps where you can pay a small fee to go in and browse through a lot of used gear. It also does make sense to become a member of REI because you will be invited to their garage sales that they do each season.
Let's go find it.
This is pretty cool.
Let's remember the brand.
So we're camping in REI for the night because we just found a new tent that we were obsessed with. This store is awesome. Another pro is the great variety of plants and animals in Montana. Along the road or during one of your adventures, you might see bison, elk, bighorn sheep, mountain goats, marmots, prairie dogs, mountain lions, deer, magpie birds, cows, horses, and more. Hello.
That is so cool.
Bunnies in the Best Buy parking lot. Ugh. What? The con, of course, is that you have to be extra careful when you're outdoors and be mindful of these animals and their presence. Moose poop! So I'm on a hike in Big Sky, and I found both of the moose. Holy crap. The pro is that you will experience changing seasons in Montana. Montana has a dry, cold type of winter, which is great because you typically won't need a giant puffer coat like you may need in the eastern United States. You will get very dry skin though, so stock up on lotion. Roads get very icy and dangerous during the winter. I had a moment where I literally crashed into the snowbank in Big Sky. And keep in mind that most people out west live for the snow and the winter ski season. I definitely wouldn't recommend moving to Montana if you can't stand snow. So the stairs to get up and down to the waterfall, completely frozen. Spring is mud season, which means ski resorts close and the snow is finally melting. The Water levels will rise in the rivers, and this is a neat time to check out different waterfalls. Some of the roads open up in Yellowstone during the spring, so you can see a lot of baby animals. If you're ready to go hiking, don't be surprised if there's still a lot of snow on the ground.
Oh, there's a bunch of snow down here.
Summer is amazing. Just remember that they do a lot of road construction during this time of year. Fall is also really beautiful, but goes by quick. If you're into photography, you'll only have about 2 weeks to capture the golden leaves before they fall to the ground. Pro is that driving 2 hours will feel like absolutely nothing to you after a few weeks of living in Montana. You'll get very used to driving long distance since most places in Montana are pretty spread out. Even a location 3 hours away you can do in a day trip if you'd like. There are definitely a few cons in regard to travel and transportation in Montana, the first being that you will need a car. Uber is now an option, but sometimes not convenient. For example, where we used to live in Billings, an Uber took 20 minutes to get to our house. Next, there are a lot of trains running throughout Montana, but I don't think any of them are passenger trains. Flights are also pretty expensive. I paid anywhere from $600 to $800 round trip. And finally, you'll pretty much always have a connecting flight to get anywhere in Montana. You'll either stop at Minneapolis, Chicago, or Salt Lake City.
We were just on our way to Bozeman, and we realized 10 miles down the road that, shoot, we forgot to get gas. And we're like, oh my god, do we just keep driving to Bozeman? Or do we go back to Big Sky? Come on, Bessie.
Up here,
You can do it. Woohoo!
Made it.
The pro is that you'll meet all types of characters in Montana. Hardworking ranchers, motorcyclists, families, eclectic artists, college kids, tourists, and some people who have never even seen the ocean. The common thread is that everyone loves the mountains. The tourists are typically going to one of two places, Yellowstone National Park or Glacier National Park.
My feet are on fire!
If you visit the town of Livingston, make sure to visit the Murray Hotel. At the bar on a Friday night, you'll see every type of person I mentioned before. The con is that there's not a lot of diversity in the state, and it was very weird coming from New York City, which was a melting pot, to a state that's about 90% Caucasian/white. Do your research before moving to Montana about the demographics, and hopefully that will save you from being shocked like I was. The pro is that you'll have a lot of time on Saturdays to go hiking, and that's because of the con, they're not really into college football there. Coming from the South, SEC rivalries were everything. People lived and breathed college football Saturdays. However, in Montana, we found out that the only game people really dropped everything for was the Cat versus Grizz game. Other than that, people don't really put in a lot of effort to watch college football games on Saturdays. They're more so into the NFL and cheer for teams such as the Denver Broncos.
Super small stadium, a tenth of the size of the swamp. That's what it feels like. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. I've got to get away from these bees. Before you go, don't forget to click subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Oh, really? The thing is you try to use as a tripod.